There's nothing I hate more than scuff marks on a wall. ScuffX delivers superior scuff resistance in the most challenging, high-traffic commercial environments, thanks to its patent-pending scuff-resistant technology. Yes, there's people in a lab somewhere thinking about how to keep scuffs off walls. Where we're running around like crazy, there are actually scientists trying to figure this stuff out, and no one's done it better than ScuffX. I would not endorse this product if I didn't believe in this product. As a hotelier, it is so important to solve this problem because we spend so much money, so much time on painting hotel rooms that we finally found the solution. And I don't think anyone does it better than ScuffX. The high-performance ScuffX latex paint reduces the need for touch-ups, repaints, offers significant savings on long-term maintenance costs. And for all the information you need, go to benjaminmoore.com.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Anthony.
Glenn.
How are you, sir?
I'm live on Instagram for the first time as we're recording our podcast live.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I'm a little bit stressed out today because as we're recording this, it's almost the unofficial end to summer. I'm not ready to deal with the fall just yet.
He's either stressed out or complaining about something.
That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. So you're stressed out because it's almost the end of summer. So this is what I want you to understand.
All right.
I want you to understand is don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Oh, I like that attitude. And I got to be honest with you, Anthony, I had such a good summer this year.
Well, you had a good week last week because you went to Disney World.
I did go to Disney World, and I did have a great vacation. But the summer to me was it was such a great time to just kind of chill out, relax. I didn't have to travel nearly as much instead of nearly every week. It was once or twice a month, and it just felt like the whole summer was vacation time.
And if you're listening to this and you're within earshot, you should drive over to the Garden City Hotel, which we're at right now.
Yep.
It is an absolute beautiful hotel. It has incredible, and I don't think they want me to call it speakeasy, but I'm going to call it speakeasy.
Well, it's really cool, and it is a speakeasy. I don't think it's open quite yet because it's going to be. They use it during the colder weather months. Right now, you can enjoy this amazing area that they have out front, which is really terrific. So they got these great little areas to sit with Adirondack chairs and great beverage service and food over there too.
And do me a favor, since I'm doing Instagram Live, if you can't see your face on my Garden City Hotel, I can't. They can't see yours.
Hey, you can see me 100%, and there are people watching.
That's enough of Glenn. So if you're in Garden City or near Garden City or at JFK Airport and you're here for a couple of days, don't stay anywhere else but Garden City Hotel. It is absolutely magnificent. I love it. I love the service. I love the smell. I love everything about the Garden City Hotel.
I love everything about being here as well. One of these days, we're going to get David Burke, chef of the Red Salt Room, on.
We got to get Grady. We got to get Grady back.
We're definitely going to get Grady. Grady Collin is the GM over here. We'll get him back on the show. Really great guy. But Anthony, I might have said I was stressed out from summer, but I'm kind of joking around with that. But one thing I am stressed out about is all of my friends out there in the hotel industry seem to be getting ready for a downturn. I've been predicting this for a while, but the economy seems to be slowing down. With all of the tariffs that have been put in place on Chinese goods, it seems to really be starting to affect vendor profitability, while at the same time, not as many people are wanting to stay in hotels because they're starting to feel like maybe it's getting a little too expensive.
So before we go there, first of all, can you see yourself on my phone?
I sure can.
Then that means you're on. Okay.
Yep.
So before we go there, what I'd like to do is ask our audience on Instagram Live.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
I would like to ask you to give us a next topic for our next podcast, which we're going to do right after this podcast, probably in about a half hour. So if you wouldn't mind sending me a message on what you think our next topic could be, that would be appreciated. And if I shut off the live stream before you have a chance, you can always send me a text at anthonyhotels.com or an email at anthonyhotels.com. And send it to me, Anthony at Anthony. What the hell's my what is my email? Anthony AnthonyHotel@hotmail.com. AnthonyHotel@hotmail.com.
I love that you're looking at me to know what your email is.
AnthonyHotel@hotmail.com. And you can send that to me. That's my personal email. I just gave you my personal email.
Beautiful.
That was a good idea.
I love it.
Yes,
sir.
So look for a topic or just post it here. I love your show. Thank you very much. So ask us. There's no sound. Why is there no sound? You can't hear me? Can people hear me now?
So in the meanwhile, if you guys are listening to the audio feed of our show, all of that stuff still applies. Just drop Anthony an email or drop me an email. You can find me at Traveling Glenn on social media, or my email address is glenn@rouse.media, ROUSE.media.
Is the sound working right now?
He's asking that to the folks in Instagram land, as we're trying something here that's new, that's different. I think it's I think we got to start doing some of these live broadcasts on the internet with the video more often, Anthony.
They're not getting any sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop this feed and start another one shortly because they're not getting any sound, which is really, really strange.
So far, this is a riveting podcast for those listening. We'll call this one Anthony Struggles with Instagram.
So the question is what's happening next year in the hotel industry. It's getting very serious because I'm hearing it from every part of the industry. Everyone's really concerned because what's happening is the expenses are going up. Everything is getting more costly, whether it be because of the tariffs, whether it be because of union labor, whether it be because of the minimum wage.
Also, because the economy has been roaring for so long,
that people
it's only
demanding,
natural that salaries go up.
And people are demanding higher wages, and they can really go wherever they want. So that front desk manager that you were paying $45,000 a year now wants $65,000 a year.
Right. And that sounds like a good deal for that manager, but it makes it a little bit harder for owners and operators to keep their properties in the black. We don't want anyone to slip into the red. And I got to tell you, I've been this hotel industry insider for 20 plus years, but I never worked in a hotel a day in my life.
So what we're going to do is we're going to play that world famous question and answer session of Glenn Ask Anthony.
Right.
So go.
I'm a little
rapid question. Boom.
I'm a little uncomfortable because I'm not used to interviewing people, Anthony. Let's
go.
Look.
Rapid fire.
I just got the greatest look from him. I've been doing it for 25 years. And the funny thing is, when we first started doing this show, it used to be more like me putting you under the spotlight and questioning you.
Right, so let's go.
And now we've got this back and forth. I'm totally out of shape.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. All right, here you are.
Rapid fire.
Here we go.
Fire.
3, 2, 1. What's your biggest concern as a hotel operator in the downturn?
That people have been working and operating fat and happy, and they're not ready, and they're not in their zone. When you're running a hotel, you should always be in the zone. You should always worry about expenses, always worry about taking care of your employees. You should always be worried about a downturn, even when you're fat and happy, and that's what I'm most concerned with. Because when the downturn, I've been in a couple downturns now, and every single time I have to let people go because when we're trying to get lean and really focused, people are out of shape, as you would say, and they're not ready to make those cold calls. They're not ready to fight for their paycheck. They're not ready to really do the heavy lifting because things have been so good that they didn't really have to.
Crap, things have been so good for so long. There's a lot of people out there in the career world right now, especially in sales, that have never seen a downturn and have no idea how to handle it. What's the first thing that you look for to stop being fat and kind of slim down in the hotel operations without letting people go?
Are my people happy?
Right.
Are they happy, and are they willing to go to war with me? How's my bench? You know, one of the things that actually a good friend of mine, Jeremy Pinkerton, told me that Eric Long, who used to work for at the
Waldorf Astoria,
was he always looked at how's his bench, meaning how is, and I've always done this too. I just didn't really reference it as how is your bench, meaning when you're playing baseball and your all-stars get hurt, how are the people on the bench coming out and, you know, in the bottom of the ninth and have to win the game? How are they doing? So how is that supervisor in housekeeping going to react? Have you been really prepping them? Have you been prepping them for getting their manager's job, letting them know that, hey, you have a career in this hotel, you can be the general manager one day? So is the housekeeper feeling good about themselves so they can get a supervisor job? Is the front desk agent knowing that he's going to get a supervisor job? Are they all understanding and appreciating the motto of the hotel, of the do they get what's happening, and do they feel like they have a career there? Because if they do, in the downturn, people are going to feel inspired and they're going to want to help you because they know you have their best interests at heart. So if you don't have a strong bench and you don't have people engaged, in the downturn, you're just going to have people scared and you're going to have people worried, and they're not going to be like, hey, we got this, man. We're a team. We got a great team and we got this. There's no problem at all. You hear it all the time in baseball players or football players when they had a bad run of luck. They're playing terrible and they're like, hey, our locker room is good. Our locker room is solid. We believe in each other. We love each other. We're going to win the Super Bowl even though we're 0-14. we're going to get to the Super Bowl. So that's that's what's happening with the Mets right now. The Mets are almost hopefully going to make the wild card, but they're in a downturn. They were in a real upswing. Now they're in a downturn, and all you hear on TV now is like, "Hey, the locker room's great. We believe in our coach. We believe in our managers. We believe in our bench." So if your bench believes in you and you believe in your bench, you're probably going to get through it. And that's what I look for. I look for how are the people that are going to really get hit the hardest.
So you want to try to protect your people. So give me something that you could do in your hotel that reduces the expenses without having to cut down people's hours.
Ask people that want flex time. Ask them, are there days that would you like to, volunteers, would you like to take 4-day work week? Or a 3-day work week. So first ask for people, because there's some people that really would like the extra day, but they're afraid to ask for it because they don't want to get fired. So if you're asking them, hey, we don't want to lay anybody off. So can everybody take 1 day off? Or who wants voluntary? Maybe take 2 days off. So if they say, well, nobody wants to volunteer, and say, okay, we're going to go to a 4-day work week, but everyone's going to share the pain. Okay, so yes, you're going to maybe get a little bit less in your paycheck, but we don't have to lay one person off. So I think that that's one way of doing it. Now, you can, if you're in a union house, you can't do it that way. You have to do it according to union rules. But if you're not, you can ask people for voluntary days off, or just put everybody on a 4-day work week, and everybody gets hurt a little bit, except instead of one person or 2 people or 5 people getting hurt a lot of bit.
Right. Do you find that if you do mass layoffs or cut everybody's hours down, that'll affect overall customer service?
No, not necessarily. Again, if you have a strong bench.
Right.
I'm really, when it comes down to laying people off, I have to shut off my emotions, which I do, and I'm really good at it. And I just have a business to run, because if I don't run that business, everyone's going to be out of business. No one's going to have a job, including myself. So I'm really good at shutting the emotional part of that off and say, okay, we have to lay 5 people off, but also having a very being able to communicate to those people I'm laying off, letting them understand why they're laying off, letting them understand what they're going to get in the layoff as far as a compensation. And once we're back, how they're going to come back, and truly empathize with them, but also making those hard decisions.
One of the things that I notice about a downturn is people are all too willing to trade rate in the hopes of building occupancy. What do you think about that, and how do you prevent cutting rates?
It doesn't work. Because if you're going, first of all, in your market, if it's a downturn, everybody's going low rates. So you lowering your rates, you're not going to create demand, and that's the biggest misconception in our industry, that lowering rates gives you higher demand. Now, if there's a lot of demand and you have the lower rate, yeah, you're going to get occupancy faster than everybody else, but in the end you're going to lose, because if the last to fill is the best to fill, if you fill that night, you're going to get a much higher rate. So it doesn't work. So basically what you have to ensure is your distribution system is set up right. How do you look on the GDS, which is the global distribution system, where corporations book their business and travel agents book their business? How do you show up with the third parties? How do you show up on your website? Is your website up to date? Are you doing everything you can? Is it easy to book on your website? Right. Now is a good time to look at your website, to look at your distribution, and also hire a revenue management company. Matter of fact, you can hire my revenue management company, because that's what we do on a daily basis.
What's the name of that company?
Actually, we're about to roll out a whole new company called Hospitality Success. But our revenue management company is called RJO Hospitality, but you can go to anthonymelchiorri.com and send me an email. But this is not a pitch for my revenue management company.
No, I did that because I wanted you to get a pitch out.
But what we do is we look at your distribution and ensure that you're set up right, and also taking a look at your website. I actually just had a good friend of mine who used to be the CEO of Pegasus, which is the biggest, one of the biggest links, or was the biggest link in our industry, linking everything together. And he just did a consulting gig for me for one of my clients about their website and distribution, and the client was raving. So make sure that you look at your distribution system. Make sure you're looking at your website. It's about distribution. It's not about rate right now when you're going through a downturn. Make sure that everything is open, everything is easily accessible, and your SEO is, you're on fire with your SEO. You're really optimizing your search, making sure you're using the ads that third parties allow you to use to get to the top. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't want to pay the third parties any more money, and you don't have to if you don't have to, but you have to if you have to. Right,
absolutely. All right, so I want to talk real quick before getting to some more rapid-fire questions about that website that you mentioned, right? For me, one of the greatest negatives I see is horrible representation of what the hotel is absolutely about. Crappy pictures out there. Nobody's going to stay in your hotel if it looks like a crappy experience. What's a good tip that you have to make that website look better?
Not having your secretary or your executive assistant or your brother-in-law do your website. Right. Have a person that you spend a lot of time and a lot of effort investigating. Have their company do it. Go to see other hotel companies and how they're doing it, and the ones that you like, and find that company and spend the money. I think what's happened is that people just we've never really done websites well, right? Or let me back up from that statement. In the beginning, we didn't know how to do websites. So we did bad websites, and then we did better than bad websites, and then we did a little bit better. So a lot of hotels have added on to their original bad website instead of blowing it up and starting over. And what I would do is, if you're really concerned about your website, is start over. Right. Start with fresh eyes. Everything has changed. Everything is streamlined. There's 3 seconds you have to convert that guest. 3 seconds. Not a fake 3 seconds. Not exaggerating 3 seconds. 3 seconds. I just looked at the website. You mentioned a hotel before, and I looked at their website. It was terrible. Yeah. Absolutely terrible. All right, and they're a major company.
And 3 seconds is a long time. 1, 2, 3.
I'm in.
Right? That's an eternity right there. Right?
Let's look at it. I'm going to name a hotel. Name any hotel.
Name any hotel?
Yeah, any hotel. We're gonna out people right now. We don't out people. We're gonna out a hotel. Name any hotel.
No, I don't want to out people on the air. That's just not fair.
Come on,
to
let's
them.
go. Out a hotel.
How about
the Blue Hotel?
All right.
I have no idea what the Blue Hotel is. If there is a Blue Hotel, but let's look at a Blue Hotel.
I feel like that's a property in Brooklyn.
The Blue Hotel. No, I know which one you're talking about. It is a property in Brooklyn, but I don't know which could come up. So
it's one on 4th Avenue, right?
Yeah. I actually did consulting for him back in the day. The Blue Hotel. Welcome to the Blue Hotel. We hope you enjoy your stay. The Great American Songbook, classic rock and roll, country music, booking inquiries. It's actually a band, so that didn't work. Okay, but my point being is, look at hotels that you like, and look at hotels you don't like, and don't copy them, and just copy the hotels that are easy to book.
Make sure it's dynamic website, so it looks awesome on phones and on laptop computers and any other devices people are using.
And make sure your social media is feeding into it, so people can talk to your team who's running social media. And
let me plug the folks over at G-Commerce Solutions who did my NoVacancyNews.com website. I think they're fabulous. They're going to help you create an incredible hotel website. That's not the point of the show. Let me ask you another question then, Anthony, when it comes to the downturn. What would you do instead of cutting rates to keep that occupancy up? One idea I have is specials, like discount offers, like buy one night, get one free, or get something else at a discounted rate while there without ruining the rate integrity. Is that a good strategy?
Well, it is. Listen, everything's a good strategy, but you have to know your market. You have to know what's going on in your market. As I'm looking at your podcast website, and it's a very good website. So congratulations.
Hey, thanks. Yeah,
and
really terrific people over there.
Yeah, let's talk about Marriott later in our other news that you can use segment about them going to getting away from single-use shower bottles.
As a matter of fact.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but check out last week's No Vacancy. I'm saying last week because it's coming up this week as we're recording this, with Lindsay Wilkinson, Director of Corporate Responsibility of IHG, because they went ahead and did the plastic bottles thing a little while ago, so I got her featured on the show. Next question.
So that was the question. The question is, you asked it already.
In terms about instead of lowering your rates wholesale, is it a good strategy to do some free giveaways? Buy 2 nights, get 1 free, or whatever it might be.
Well, I think it's important to engage your social media and engage your clientele that you have. Engage your mailing list and give, whether it be free offers, whatever it is. But I also think it's to be transparent. You know, I like when companies are transparent. So if I was going off if things weren't working out, I would literally say to my clientele in an email, maybe a video or on social media, I would do funny videos about, hey guys, what was last week like? Last week, and I would show somebody like with phones coming out of their ear and reservations and lines. What does this week look like? And then you would show like, butterflies going through the lobby and just nothing. You see cattle walking through the lobby. You don't see any guests.
Yep.
And you see no cars in our parking lot. And it's like, so people aren't traveling because they're worried about the economy. So what can we do for them? Well, you know what, Anthony, we're going to give them 3 nights. And they 2 nights free, and they only have to stay 2 nights, and they get 2 nights free. Whatever it is,
right?
So make it fun. Don't hide it from your guests. Don't fake it. Don't be afraid of it. Engage that, hey, there's a downturn coming. It's a slow month. We're behind our budget. I would actually engage my guests and make them part of what's going on.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And even something like give a free coupon to come on down to the bar and get a drink, because they're not going to have one drink.
But again, we're talking about stuff that everybody does. So every hotel will give you a free coupon.
Right.
Every hotel will give you 1 night free. Every hotel will give you 10% discount. Every hotel will give you free breakfast. We're in a downturn. I am talking about being creative. I am talking about doing something that no one else does. Everything you mentioned, which is great, is not something that if my sales and marketing person came into my office and said, I'd be like, go work somewhere else, because give me something that's fun and interesting. You know, from where I come from, everything I've done for every hotel with my teams have been, they've changed. They've been revolutionary. No one's ever done it before. No one's ever created what we've created in every one of my hotels. And it always comes out of someone else at the table. Never me. I've never come up with a creative idea in my life. It's always people at the table. So what I would say is to the general managers and director of sales is take, again, your bench, take your younger people, take your housekeepers, take whoever, and ask them their opinions. Hey, we have a problem. How do you think we can be creative about the solution? But doing what everybody else does during a downturn is going to get you what everybody else is going to get, and that's going to be a RevPAR index of minus.
Yeah.
Year over year.
One other thing that I know that you could do, and I'd like you to expound on it in this question, is what do you think about the idea of looking at every single vendor that you utilize and go through the line items and see if that is the right pricing?
Now, I'm glad you said that. If I don't have the lowest pricing every single day of my life in a hotel, I'm doing something wrong. So again, yes, that is the answer. However, if you're not doing that I'm sorry to keep pointing at you. If you're not doing that,
I like the enthusiasm. I'm a big pointer hand gesture.
If you're not doing that in an upmarket,
right,
then there's something wrong with you. You should be worrying about the cost of every item coming into your hotel every single day. So if you all of a sudden panic and say, okay, I want 3 bids on everything, I want the lowest pricing, you've waited too long. You should be doing that on a monthly basis. You should be doing that. The person that purchased your items should feel that you can jump in any day and say, I want to see if that's the lowest price. So you should be doing that every day. With that said, going back to vendors and saying, hey, I've been a good vendor. You've been a good vendor for me. I'd like you to give me a discount. I need a 15% discount on everything. I'm not going to shop. I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm not going to take these fly-by-night people that say they can give me 27,000 water bottles for 99 cents. I'm going to stay with you. I've even allowed you to be a little bit more pricey because I like working with you. You're good customer service. But now I'm in a downturn, and I need you to reduce your price. He's going or she's going to say, I'd like to help you, but I'm in a downturn too, and I can't give it to you for that price. Well, yes, you can, because if not, I'm pulling my business.
Right.
So that, to me, is a healthier relationship than panicking and telling everyone, hey, we got to get 3 bids, because you should have been doing that, and you should know your pricing.
Right.
And you should know there are goods that sometimes I pay a little bit more money for because I know the person is reliable, and they're going to service when there's a mistake. And if for some reason they forgot my salmon, they're going to ensure that I get my salmon quickly. They made a mistake, and they're going to make good. They're going to do good, and they're not going to charge me for my salmon that week, or whatever it is. So I want to stay in the family, put a little pressure on them to reduce their prices. But again, remember, they're going to be going to a downturn too. The number one thing is don't panic. And if your general manager and your team is panicking, that team should be fired and should have been fired a long time ago. Don't panic. When a plane is about to go down or a race car is about to hit a wall, hopefully the person driving that car or piloting that plane is not panicking. Captain Sully went into the East River with his plane a couple years ago. He didn't panic, because if he panicked, a lot of people have been dead. So same thing with a hotel. You're going through a recession. Don't panic. If you have a good team, a good bench, and you're creative, just push people to create. Push people to think out of their comfort zone. That's fine. But to panic and start saying, we got to cut everything, and we got to lay people off, and we got to, we can't give turn down service anymore. Well, everybody else is going to cut turn down service in the recession, while you keep turn down service, but figure out how to do it in an inexpensive way.
Right. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Another thing that you could do is maybe get yourselves consolidator out there. I work with a company called Almo Hospitality that does a great thing. They'll help lower your expenses by pulling everything together. They're saving hotels hundreds of dollars a month on internet alone because of their buying methodology. So just because you're paying a price for something doesn't mean you have to stay paying that price for something.
And read everything. Read Hotels Magazine, Lodging Magazine. Read every blog. Listen to our podcast, other podcasts, No Vacancy. Listen to everything. Go to shows. Go to the financial shows. Go to the design shows. Go to the technology shows. Learn as much as you can to know what's out there, to Glenn's point, because then you can learn that there's a technology out there that's going to save you money. When you're going into a downturn, if that's the time you're getting that you're starting to read and you're starting to panic, you've waited too long.
If you're a general manager, how do you communicate with the people that are above you, ownership, management company, whatever, about what's truthfully happening at your property in a way that doesn't put you on the defensive?
Numbers, reports, information. Sit with your team, do a 5-year plan. So look at your 5-year plan 5 years ago. So look at what happened in the last 5 years. Look at what's happened in the last 6 months, because the recession doesn't happen overnight. Show that the RevPAR is going down. Show that you had this marketing. Show that you cut this expense. Show all the things you've done. But even with doing all of that great stuff in the last 6 months, we're seeing a RevPAR index flat or going down a little bit. So, boss, I did all this. I still see that the enemy's coming over the wall. So now I need to take X amount of dollars from here, from that beautiful pool you want to do in 2 years, and that CapEx, if we're allowed to touch that CapEx money, and I needed to pay, X, because that's going to help us. So what I find is you have to have numbers, information. You have to really know that where the owner's coming from. What perspective is he coming from? At the end of the day, he is usually a real estate investor, and this is a real estate play for him. So think not from a service standpoint, not from a customer standpoint, not from, hey, a rah-rah employee standpoint, because a lot of owners don't care about that. That's your job. They want to know, why am I going to lose money next year? How are we going to mitigate some of that loss? And are you being creative, and do you have my back? So if you think in those terms, the owner is going to have confidence in you and respect in you. If you do all of that and the owner is still irrational and the owner is still pushing back, then you have to question yourself and say, I'm doing my job. I've given him all the information and he's being irrational. Then you have to ask yourself, do I need another job?
Right.
And I've been there, bro. I've been there.
You've had a lot of jobs. I mean, that's just part of the nature of the career, right? You gotta go from place to place, find the right type of property that challenges you and has the right ownership.
But that's a good point.
Mindset.
And this is a side note. I've had a lot of jobs in this industry. Every single one of them was a better job, and everyone was for more money. One of the things that you will do to kill your career in this industry is start going from a really quality brand to a lower brand to a lower brand to a lower brand, going from director of front office operations, then 3 years later you're a supervisor at a lower brand hotel. Your career is over.
Right.
So you can rebuild it, but that's an important part. Yes, you can have a lot of jobs because you make more money by going to other hotels, but it's always important to show a progression.
If you're
you can have a blip, though. We all have blips.
Yeah, of course. And at some point in everyone's life, you get fired, right? It just is what it is. Nothing to be ashamed of. It's what you learn from those situations that matter. If you're a salesperson, Anthony, and you've only lived through an upturn, and now you're starting to deal with a little bit more of the no's that are out there, how can you make sure that you are still doing your job effectively, even as the clouds start to roll in?
Well, the first thing you have to ask yourself, are you built for it? Are you built for doing cold calls? Did you get into sales because you like people, or did you get into sales because you like closing deals? Okay, and you literally within a month, those salespeople that like people will be gone, and the people that like closing business are used to it because they've been closing business forever and they've been cold calling forever. And their bosses made their numbers harder and harder to get during an upturn. And by doing that, it's kept them in the game and kept them engaged and kept them strong. So going back to sales 101, answer the phone. Call any hotel right now. Call any sales department right now in New York City. I'm going to call one on our next break, and I'm going to and I'm going to see if someone picks up in a hotel. So the number one thing is make sure you're picking up the phone call, right? Make sure you're following up, and make sure that your team is closing deals and knows how to close deals. And if they don't, bring in an expert training company to help you close a deal. Closing a deal, learning how to close a deal is the most important thing a salesperson can learn. And young people coming into a upturn don't really maybe they know how to close a deal, but they haven't really had to worry about it.
Right.
The conversation goes from Mr. XYZ company, next year your corporate client is going to pay 4% more, 20% more, or 5% more, and we can't have you coming in on Mondays anymore. We need X amount of business on a Sunday, whatever it is. Right? That conversation, from your perspective, is easy to have because you have the control, right? Your new conversation is, Mr. X, Y, and Z, why are you leaving my company? We'll reduce the rate by 20%. You shouldn't put yourself in that position. And we talked about that on other podcasts. You should already have a relationship where you're not taking advantage of people in an upturn and charging them insane pricing. Your good clients you should be fair to, and not only fair, you should say, listen, I'm not going to increase your rates this year, even though I can, everybody else is, because the downturn's coming in 2 years, and you got to be nice to me in 2 years.
Right.
So it's all about relationships, and it's all about learning how to close a deal. And a lot of times you're closing deals a year out in your head without closing the deal. You understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what
I'm
you're
having
saying.
lunch about you on this contract, but I'm already 2 years ahead of you closing that deal by giving you a good deal in this contract.
Yeah, all right. That's really good advice as well. One other thing that I'm thinking about is that whole idea of don't let things sit on your desk or in your email box, right? What you want to do is you want to get it on their plate. One of the things that I can't stand is when I have to deal with stuff. So the quicker you can get it back to them, ball in their court, the more likely you are to close a deal, I think, right? All right, so forget all that. We hit pause over here because Anthony wanted to give a sales department a real little test here. So we timed it out. Remember when we counted to 3 seconds earlier in the show, listeners? It took well over a minute to get an actual person on this phone.
Actually, it took 1 minute and 20 seconds?
Something like that, yeah.
But that wasn't, and this is a very famous hotel in Times Square.
That's right.
That wasn't what kind of threw me off, that it took a minute and 20 seconds to get a human being on the phone. What threw me off is I went through 3 tape-recorded messages before I got a human being. So that's a minute and 20 seconds of me pushing buttons. This hotel specifically actually asked me to push buttons for, if you have 1 to 20 attendees, press this button. If you have 100 to 200 attendees, press this button. If you want a hotel room and a hot dog and a hamburger and roller skates, press this button while you're standing on 1 foot.
Then you chose one, and then you had to do another damn telephone tree.
Right. And then the person I got wasn't even somebody at the hotel. They were an answering service because it's a holiday weekend and their people aren't in their office. And it's only... It's only 12 o'clock on a Friday of a holiday weekend, but they're already gone. So I would have tapped out. If I was legitimately going to go to that hotel, I probably, if I needed to be at that hotel and only that hotel, I probably would have held on. But if I was shopping, I was gone. I was out.
Yeah.
I was completely out.
Right. And I'm surprised the only thing that they didn't do that pisses me off when you get those things is we're experiencing higher than normal call volume, right? That's the only thing they didn't do.
And what's interesting is when I asked the woman, because she said, are you sure you want this hotel? And she said the name of the hotel.
Right.
I said, why would you ask me that question? I called your hotel. She goes, because we're an outside service and because it's a holiday weekend. So now what just upset me was that I know I'm going to tell her all this information. She's going to write it all down, and she's going to say, I will have so-and-so call you on Monday. Tuesday. So what does that mean? Or Tuesday. Right. And what does that mean?
That means that they're going to call you back at some point late next week and ask you all those questions all over again.
100%. And so I'm tapped out.
Right.
So does that mean you're going into a downturn? You know you're going into a downturn. Does that mean that on a holiday weekend, you should have somebody from the hotel taking these phone calls? And do you really know, and I know it's a busy hotel, but do you really need 17 lines for all kinds of different versions of a meeting?
No.
Right.
You don't. It's a waste of everybody's time.
And wouldn't it, okay, so let's talk about this for a second. What can we do in a down market? How refreshing would it have been? Now, I understand a big hotel in New York City, there's a billion phone calls. I understand the initial press 1 for sales, 1 for front desk. I'll give you that.
That part I get.
I will give you that because...
But breaking it down, do you need 1 to 9 rooms? Do you need 10 to 99
rooms? But
did
I need the second one when I went to the sales office? Before I got that one, I got another one saying, hey, this is the sales office, whatever. So I went to 3 voicemails. At some point, the initial voicemail is acceptable. Especially if it says 1 for sales, 1 for front desk. I could get there in 1 second. But the second, I want a human being. Right. I want a human being.
Yeah.
And I'd rather someone pick up the phone and say, I am so sorry. Okay, I can have all of our salespeople are busy right now. I will have so-and-so call you back. Do you need a phone call back today? Or would you, or can we call you back Tuesday morning at 12 o'clock?
Right.
Which is acceptable to you? Well, you know what? I do need a phone call today. So what you do, okay, thank you very much. I'll have somebody call you within the hour.
Right.
So now you have somebody on in sales that's on the emergency pager, the emergency phone, saying, hey, this guest needs a call back within an hour.
Right.
So out of all your salespeople, that one salespeople that's got duty on the weekend, it sucks on a holiday weekend, they have to return a phone call.
Well,
is that acceptable to you?
It's acceptable to me. Heck, man, I'm probably stuck at this point on the Long Island Expressway at the New Jersey Turnpike going down the shore. It'd be great to try to close the deal going into my holiday weekend.
How does that feel to you that somebody's picking up a phone immediately and giving you saying, hey, we're going to give you a call back in an hour or Tuesday morning, and we care about your business?
Well, now we're getting really psychological because what we're doing is we're setting the entire tone, not just for the call, but for the perceived experience that potential customer is going to have. And by putting out that right positive energy at the beginning, I think you're more likely to close the deal.
And more importantly, but just as importantly, if that hotel nailed it, I'd be saying what hotel it is. I'm not going to bash that hotel because I have friends that work at that hotel.
Right.
But I'm not going to bash that hotel, and it's a famous hotel. But If it was a good experience, I'd be screaming about it, saying that's how you do it. That's how you make sure when the downturn comes, your guest is engaged. And I've heard so many horror stories in the last 2 years about this hotel, about people wanting, like literally somebody walked in, they were at this big convention, and they pulled up a table and a chair outside one of the convention halls, and somebody came over and said, I'm sorry, sir, that table and chair, if you want that and you want to sit there, that's going to cost you $500 for the next 3 hours. Literally happened. Literally happened that they were charged. They want to be charged X amount of dollars for that space.
Wow.
So that's what happens in an upswing. That we are just sucking the blood out of people. I just had a friend of mine that's doing the convention, and he has to have somebody in his event space at this hotel specifically, and they have to stand next to their tech people in case there's a problem. He goes, well, if there's a problem, I'll call you. No, you have to pay $1,000 an hour, $1,000 an hour to have a tech person in the room in case there's a problem.
Disgusting.
In a downturn, you think that's going to happen?
I think that those people would go to another city for business. They would say, forget about it. I'm not going to be dealing with this.
Go to the Jacob Javits Center and ask for a chair.
No.
And ask for a chair for your booth. You know how much a chair?
I got yelled at once by the people there for throwing something out. Yeah.
Explain me, Lucy.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to take certain garbage to the garbage bins. You have to have the trained professionals do that. Same thing happened when a buddy of mine tried plugging something into the wall.
Yeah.
Outlet, stock it, you know?
Right. So I don't think that when you're eating, when you have a whole plate of food and not sharing your plate of food, I think when your plate is empty, those people aren't going to be there to take off their plate and give you food. So I've always in business, I've always been nervous to take advantage of somebody because I know I'm going to have to do something I hate doing and asking for a favor. So if I've done you a solid or maybe done you 10 solids, I'm not asking for the favor. I'm telling you as my client, hey, dude, this is what you're going to do for me this year.
Right.
And you're like, Anthony, I can't do that. No, dude. You're doing this, and you're going to take it on the chin this year because I've taken it on the chin 3 years with my owner in the upturn, so you're going to help me now, right now. But Anthony, no, right now. And if they don't, I don't care, upturn, downturn, they'll never be in my hotel again. That, to me, is a relationship.
So give me an example, then, of I'm a salesperson. I hear what you're saying, Anthony. I want to help you. I want to close this deal. How, then, do I go to my management and explain that scenario to them so they're on the same page as I am?
Again, information, right? I had an incident, not an incident, but a salesperson come to me once, Justin, who's a fantastic person. You met Justin at one of our events. And he said, we want to take this reality TV show on a Sunday night in August. And we did everything by committee. So the director of sales and the owner actually got involved too. And we voted on it, and they voted it down because it was $185 in August. It was 5 weeks. It was the Great American Race. Is that what it's called? What was the
that TV show?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So it was them going to be in our hotel for 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, no, because then the middle of September is getting busy and we don't want the business. I was like, yeah, but for $185 for 3 or 4 weeks, like, we need the business. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes.
Wouldn't the math work out in the favor of taking that business?
So the sales manager, Justin, I said, Justin, they don't want to take it. Give me 3 compelling reasons why we should take it. And he did his homework. He gave me 3 compelling reasons, and I took it. I was a big fan of taking it, but I had to then justify it to the owner. I can't remember what the 3 reasons were.
Right.
But then the owner just shut up, and we won. So information, you have to.
The Amazing Race.
Even listen, my daughter wanted to go to one high school we didn't want her to go to, and she went to. So we wanted to go to this other high school, and I said to my wife, we can't make her go to the high school she doesn't want to go to because she'll blame us if she's miserable. So let's ask her, why? Like, ask her what's the difference and why does she want to go to high school? So what she did was she called us up to her room like 2 days later and said, hey, I want to do a PowerPoint presentation. And she did a PowerPoint presentation. And this one school that we didn't want her to go to was going to be $11,000 a year. But that wasn't the reason. We just thought the other school, which was a public school, which is a really great school, would be better. So at the end of her presentation, she says, how much would my high school education cost you if you sent me to the school you want me to send to. And she goes, it's $44,000. She goes, say it with me, 44,000. One more time. And she goes, how much would this go? It would be zero. So for me to save you $44,000 and it's going to cost you zero for me to go to this school, I need a new computer. My daughter had a new computer the next day. Because I appreciated her doing this slideshow, and I appreciated her doing... I didn't, honestly, at that point, I just didn't want to go to school so bad. I didn't even think about the money. I just didn't want her to go to that school, and she won. So information always wins.
Beautiful.
With too many people get involved with emotions, too many, including me. I'm the first one to say, I will go into an office, and I've actually talked myself, out of what I thought I should be doing because the owner or my boss was asking such good questions I didn't have answers to. So by the end of the meeting, I just felt like a fool. And I was like, I never want to be a fool again. So I want to come up with so much information that if you're saying no to me, the only reason you're saying no to me is because your ego is bigger than mine.
Right. Beautiful.
And so if that's the case, then I have to make a decision based on ego, not based on facts. Excellent. Does that make sense?
No, it all makes sense. I feel like we've imparted a lot of knowledge on folks.
I think the most important thing to understand going into potentially a downturn is everyone is dealing with what you're dealing with. And the people that are going to be okay are the people that have a very strong bench, very good employees, good supervisors, good managers, good clients, a very creative general manager, creative executive team. Those people are going to be okay. It's the people that are like, oh shit, we didn't this. Why did this happen? I remember during Sandy, I called my insurance company, and the guy, I was mad because he didn't call me back for 3 weeks.
He was referring to the hurricane, Sandy.
Right, and I remember being at the Kings Plaza Mall on Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn. My kids were there, and they never heard me scream and curse and yell like this ever, and I'm screaming, cursing, and yelling in the middle of Kings Plaza Mall because my insurance agent said these words to me.
Yeah.
Everyone else is getting their adjuster out to these homes. You haven't called me back in 3 weeks. He goes, well, my entire system went down because of Sandy. I was like, what are you talking about? You're supposed to be, the person that lives through a horrible storm because everybody else isn't. So what are you talking about? Well, our office was in a flood zone downtown Manhattan in the basement, all our computer systems. I lost my crap because we weren't prepared for this kind of level of emergency. I said, you're an insurance company. Isn't that what you're supposed to be prepared for?
Right.
Like that's all you get paid to do is be prepared.
Right.
I was like, are you kidding me? You had all your records and all your phone systems in the basement of a flood zone.
Unreal.
I literally invented curse words. To this day, my daughters talk about it and they laugh about it. So you have to be prepared. It's your job as a general manager to be prepared.
Well, it's even more annoying because
and be creative.
I remember when in the aftermath of 9/11, all of the computer systems and stuff that were destroyed in downtown Manhattan, and to not have learned that lesson 10 years, 12 years prior is absolutely shameful.
Where was the emergency? I think what was it? 911. Where was the officers? Do you remember?
In the World Trade Center, and they had just moved them there the year before and spent $1 gajillion on it.
We knew it was the number one terrorist attack in the country.
Let's put our headquarters there for emergencies.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, put them in the library, somewhere no one goes.
So my point. So my librarians are very upset with you right now.
I'm sorry.
One of the my point being is you have to be prepared when you're not, and sometimes things come up that you're not going to be prepared for. That makes sense, and that's obvious. It happens to me. Every hotel is going to have a contingency plan. Being creative is really important. Like, again, the questions you were saying and the things that you were saying to me before were logical and make sense. But every person in every sales office and every general manager and every general manager office in New York City is coming up with the ideas you came up with.
Right, yeah.
I want to come up with ideas that no one's coming up with.
Right, and that's what makes you the expert, and that's what makes me the neophyte when it comes to hotel operation. Man, this has been a fun conversation.
No, but honestly, Glenn, it's 99% of the people in the hotel industry would say what you said.
Of course.
But if you have a fun group of people, they're not scared, and they're creating.
So then let me ask you one more question. How do you reach deep inside yourself to find those creative ideas instead of doing the hackneyed ones that everyone else is doing?
I call it upside down thinking, and I'm glad you asked, Glenn. I do upside down thinking. So what I would do if we were in a board meeting right now, it's okay, Glenn just came up with those ideas. I would say they're good. I wouldn't say they're creative. So, Glenn, thank you very much. But we should implement those. I agree with everything you just said. We should implement them. But let's think of something upside down. What did you just say to me that we can look at it in a different way? Let's take the stay 1 night, stay 3 nights, and 1 night free. So let's take that and let's put that upside down and let's look at it from completely a ridiculous standpoint. So the first thing I would say, let's throw that on the board. Everyone, we throw it on the board and we go, okay, 3 nights, 1 night free. Okay. I'm going to throw out an idea. I'm going to say, how about 1 night, 3 nights free? Well, that's ridiculous. Is it? Yes, it is.
Right.
Why? And break that down.
Yeah.
At the end of that moment, at the end of that conversation, we may come up with 2 nights free. No one else is doing that. Stay 2 nights. Can we afford to do that? Maybe we can afford not to do that. So that may not be the answer. But what I'm saying is let's take it and flip it upside down. And that's how I start my creative conversations.
Excellent. So just try to push yourself, think differently. Don't just settle for what everybody else is doing.
Then I would take it and say, okay, we're thinking upside down. Let's start the process. And I've never thought of this before. Let's start the moment the guest leaves their home. Right. They're in Iowa. Why don't we pay for their cab from the airport?
Oh, I love that.
From the house to the airport. Let's pay their cab. So let's do 3 nights, 1 night free, but we're paying your Uber.
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to pay their $50 to get into the Delta Lounge. Well, really? Yeah. Is everyone else doing that? No. That's creative.
Right. I love it. I remember when during the last downturn, Best Western had a really cool program where they'd give you with every stay a $25 gas card because gas prices were out of control.
This is a great idea.
Yeah.
See, Ron Paul's a very smart guy.
Yeah. Right? And Ron is the chief operating officer over there at Best Western. Anthony, let's wrap this bad boy up. Tell me something about you that I don't know.
What you don't know. I had a very scary moment a couple of days ago, as I think you do know, is my 17-year-old daughter was having a little bit of a fever that went up to a lot of bit of a fever, 106 degrees. She had 106 fever, and we rushed to the emergency room. She had tonsillitis. She's fine now, thank God. She's trying out for her volleyball team. She's a senior in high school, and so this morning was the first day she looked like herself again. But when you have little kids, you're on high alert all the time. So I have 3 daughters. Two, and I have twins. So, and I had my baby a year and a half after my twins. So we had a lot of emergencies, for years because of babies get high temperatures. So we were always prepared, always diligent. But when you have a 17-year-old and she says she doesn't feel good, you're like, yeah, take a pill.
Yeah, right.
I'm watching TV, right? You're like, don't you have something to do?
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, Dad, I don't feel good. And he's like, what's your temperature? It's 102. All right, take 2 Advil, call me in the morning. Dad, it's 104. It's like, oh, okay, let's look at this a little closer. Calling my friend who's a doctor. Okay, call him back 5 minutes later. It's 106. Holy shit, that's bad. Get her to the hospital. When a doctor says, holy shit, that's bad, get her to the hospital, you need to get her to the hospital. So thank God we went to the hospital. She's fine now. They gave her great medication. We're to ear, nose, and throat guy, another great guy. Actually, my wife's at the follow-up appointment right now with her. So, but that scared the living crap out of me when your 17-year-old daughter has 106 fever, because I've never heard of 106 fever in basically an adult.
Right, never, ever.
That scared the shit out of me.
Never, yeah, for
so
sure.
Thank God my daughter Nina is doing well.
Yeah, excellent.
So tell us something we don't know about you, my friend.
The only time I've ever been called hot is when I've had 104 plus fever.
I think you're looking hot in that shirt, brother.
Thank you. But for real, something I haven't had the flu and been really sick now in, I think, a good 13, 14 years. And that's because I'm very diligent and get my flu shot every year. And now that we're heading into flu season, I want to ask everybody to get their flu shots. I'll be getting mine so that way I could not get insanely sick, because the one time I had the flu, it was so freaking horrific, I just wanted to die.
I don't get my flu shot, and I should. I had the swine flu. Remember when swine flu was crazy?
Yeah. You were telling me about that the other day.
Yeah, I had 105, and that was terrible. But yeah, so get your flu shot. But I will say something to get back real quick about my daughter's fever. She had 106. We got her the right medication. So now it's only 48 hours from when she was diagnosed. She has to go to do her tryouts for volleyball. My daughter is obsessed with volleyball. And she wants to go to volleyball tryouts. And so I go up to her room. I take her temperature. It's 103. Right? So I said, baby, I have 103 fever. So I gave her a couple of Tylenol, Advil, whatever I gave her. And I went downstairs. And all of a sudden she comes down about a half hour later, fully dressed with her volleyball backpack, her face completely beet red with sweat coming down her face, completely dressed in volleyball gear. And she's like, good morning, Dad. I was like, babe, good morning. How you doing? She goes, good. I'm going to be leaving in a few minutes. Are you leaving? I said, yeah, I'm leaving. She goes, I love you. I go, where are you going? She goes, well, I'm going to go to volleyball. I go, babe, you have 103 fever. She goes, because I was sleeping on my face. Right. I was like, and when you took my temperature, I was sleeping on my face. Yeah. I was like, you don't get 103 fever because you slept on your face. But what I loved about that, she loves volleyball so much, and she wanted to go so badly that she was going to drag 103 fever out and play volleyball. And I was like, so she got mad at me. She said some choice words and ran upstairs and cried. I was like, babe, you can't go with 103 fever to volleyball. So I went with all the medical documentation to her teacher or her volleyball coach and explained to her with all of her friends there and saying, listen, she can't be here, but she'll be here soon as she can. So she was there 2 days later and, whatever. But I really appreciated her effort.
That's really great. I wish my kids were passionate about something like that. So remember, kids, if you are sick, the only prescription is more cowbell. I wanted to end it on that. One of my favorite bits.
Where can everyone find you?
I'm at Traveling Glenn. You can also find me at novacancynews.com. Everywhere on the internet. How about you, Anthony?
And if you don't understand that reference, just Google it.
Yeah.
You can find me at Anthony Hotels anywhere you want to be on the internet.
Possibly my favorite Saturday Night Live skit of all time.
Mine has got to be Eddie Murphy doing Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Yeah. Oh, my God. Boys and girls, that's the landlord.
You remember the first bit that he ever did was it was something about prisoners and poetry?
No.
Do you remember that one?
No.
And his thing was, I wrote a poem. Kill my landlord.
Yeah. I do remember. C-I-L-L,
my landlord.
Yeah. I do remember that. Actually, he's apparently coming up with a new stand-up.
He is, and he's going to be hosting Saturday Night Live in December. First time in
ever.
Like 45 years.
Wow.
He's been on the show or something.
They're going to give him like $100 million or something. And also, great thing that's going to be like $1 billion movie is Coming to America Part 2.
That is.
I can't wait.
Check out Eddie Murphy next on Netflix in Dolomite, I think it's called. It's a true story of some African-American entertainer. I don't quite remember what it was. Looks like a really great badass movie.
It's a documentary?
It's a docudrama.
And based on a true story?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Eddie Murphy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, and what is it called?
Dolomite. I'm going to look it up.
There's so much content. I can't keep up with it.
Dolomite is my name.
Spell it?
Dolemite. When Hollywood shuts him out, multi-talented Rudy Ray Moore strikes out on his own to make the 1975 blaxploitation film Dolomite. It's going to be freaking awesome.
I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to watch it.
All right, so I want to thank Anthony for being here. So for Anthony and myself, Glenn, thanks for checking in.
It's Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you want to be. It's Checking In with Anthony and Glenn.